But let's get the picks and bans now for game number 2 on the screen. Cyclone will be in that first pick slot. They'll push Nemesis into the second pick into response. So likely Nemesis will have to be the one banning away some of the meta stuff like the Xbalanque, the Merlins and such come to mind. Though Cyclone happy to take that one for him.
Unless they kind of want to still experiment, knowing that they're pretty much locked in for the MSI to see if they want to be facing off against the Merlin and seeing how they can kind of handle it. Yeah.
That could be interesting. Maybe using some of this time once they do get sort of locked in to see if against some strong opponents, can they actually take it down, or is it something that you just got to get rid of? It looks like for now, though, they're not too worried about it. Get that Merlin out of there, says Nemesis. Totally makes some sense. And now the question goes, what does Cyclone do to try to make some adjustments? So they need to get Joe from the gym, not like Joe Bro in the back, Joe from the gym on something a little bit more safe that he can move around with on the map more, or do they just need better protection, or should they maybe wait a little bit longer to decide what they get for him?
It's similar to the last set that we saw in the Xbox EU where Fly playing the Zeus struggled in game number 1 and then all of a sudden when Agni games 2 and 3 had more success being able to dash away from the action. So maybe that could be another good look today for Joe.
Wow, the Jingwei's taken off the board instead of the Jormungandr, really instead of the Ne Zha, which mattkoiz also played quite well. They elected to take this out of the hands of Zaxy in that Hunter role. He had a great game. There was constant pressure on SpeedBufff, so maybe that's the idea to try and create some space for him. But now the Jormungandr comes out to play, and you might even have to worry about a potential Awilix picked up with all those knockups.
Yeah, that could be an issue, especially when Jormungandr's diving the backline with the World Serpent. It's very difficult to handle him and his presence. But if you're having an aggressive support with Ne Zha, mattkoiz, enabling that in game 1, could be a similar story. But now, with the Chronos for Zaxy, I'm expecting that could be a good way to just pop off in objective control.
I think so too, especially once it's become clear that Cyclone are willing to ban out Zaxy stuff with this Jingwei. They probably just went ahead and prioritized his pick now, get it out of there, and then try and see what Cyclone else has in the bank to try and take away. As Terra locks in, so they've got a sturdy front line established between this Jormungandr and the Terra, and then a bit old school here with the Apollo to round it out. I actually kind of think that Apollo should get picked a little bit more. He's definitely still strong.
I agree. When you're trying to peel for yourself, Apollo with the Mez, getting some protections against physical is a good way to, keep those pesky guardians or aggressive supports at bay. Another good look is the global pressure. Jormungandr diving with World Serpent, Apollo with the Chariot. But if you're looking for global pressure in terms of cleanup kills, I think Rom would have been a little bit better because you're just getting off the Astral Barrage. You don't have to actually commit to being that far out of position.
That's right. So maybe they'll get this to work for them, though it could be scary if you have both a Chariot and a gigantic World Serpent all careening at you from the sky. So that's a lot to think about if you're on Nemesis. They're not too worried, though. They've picked Osiris, the Lord of the Afterlife, to be on their side here. I imagine that'll be over in the solo lane for Niquid, though maybe in the jungle too for Jumpah, though I think he likes stuff that's a little bit more early and aggressive.
I like that little title with the voice acting that you did there. Do you have that for every god?
No.
No?
I can try, though. I can sure try.
All right, Chronos?
I don't remember what Chronos is.
The Time Lord?
Oh, that might be it. Chronos, the Time Lord. There you go.
Okay.
A little title.
I like that way better than when F-Dot does the Chronos impersonation. Like, a lot better. Do that more often than F-Dot.
Okay, yeah, I'll try that. You might have to talk with him, though, I guess, to make that happen. Muzen coming through for him in the 4th pick. So then maybe not, though we have seen a Muzen comp in the middle lane some, so this could still certainly be for Covi. But, there's a little bit of flex potential, I would say, though I think Chronos probably does a little bit better in the long lane, and he can certainly fit over there.
Cyclone focusing out late game team fights.
Yeah.
Nike locked in now. They're thinking about utilizing that pass to get extra mobility, to be able to keep diving this, because Jormungandr and Apollo is going to be diving the backline. Terra has good space control, can create a lot of space for the backline to do things. But if it's Apollo and Jormungandr right now, they don't have a traditional mage, so it's probably Jormungandr middle?
That's what it's looking like from what I'm seeing, because they have the Terra and the Nike. Those two have to be going solo and support, and then the Awilix in the jungle. So I think it is going to be Jormungandr in the middle lane, trying a little bit of that Zeros flavor. Now, Nemesis are waiting on their last pick. I don't know if they were planning on it, but I don't know, man. Maybe just go with a Fafnir here, right, to synergize with this all? The Ganesha is what it's going to be, though, instead. Ganesh joining us for this team. I don't know, but the Awilix Jormungandr combo is certainly strong. Is that enough, do you think, here for this team? I mean, they could even do it off Apollo. Oh, that'll get a little bit of a knock-up if they hit at the very end.
Well, they have the Nike jump.
That's right,
the Apollo dash can also like slightly knock people out sideways. There's a small window there. I'm still liking Nemesis more simply because of the players behind those gods. But it's all about the early game aggression. Osiris and Naja need to get off to a great early start.
Well, I think that Cyclone have the tools. You can certainly see the composition coming together here, but can they actually execute it up against the strong Nemesis team? Let's go into game 2. Tom and Hindu, take it away.
Let's go.
Kill me.
Why?
I'm just sick of the impressions, man.
That's not an impression. That's actually Chronos on the line. Okay. I have called him, and he is here to take part in the broadcast. Are you ready, Chronos?
I'm ready for Beaudilla to be in a lot of trouble early on. Ooh.
Support Nike. Oh.
What?
Listen, Cyclone's composition here is all just sort of Shangada to me. I like Nike a lot. I like Terra a lot. I like Jormungandr a lot. I think they're in the weird spots. So Joe from the gym doing his best Zeros impression, playing the mid Jorm. The mentality here for people scratching their heads and yelling troll in chat. The mentality here is that Jormungandr does a boatload of damage, to be honest with you, and has no problem getting to the back line.
Sure, but it's normally about 40-50 minutes until you'll see the amount of damage from that Yorm mid that you could see from a normal mid laner.
Exactly.
I'd say the same period of the time, but they've been more impactful in the early stages. Yorm mid is very much a late game monster, but you also have to hit your ultimate because that's where the majority of your damage is going to come from.
Oh, yeah.
And you only get 2 shots with it because your third one really is reposition back to a safe spot.
So that's Yorm down. Nike, one of my favorite characters that everybody hates.
Hate the character, but I like it in the support position. Funny enough.
Wow.
You know why?
You go first.
Nike, the most winningest god in the game, confirmed by statistics since the invention of Nike in the game, right?
Yep.
She's always been up there, and one of the reasons she's up there is because that passive is insane.
Yep.
Plus, the shield she's going to get means she's topped up on health regularly and also slows down the opposition quite a lot.
Yep.
But her passive is going to help out the team a lot, and that's the only reason you pick Nike. You don't pick it to have fun or do anything fancy.
Nice.
You do it to just stand there.
Well, Joe from the gym is going to stand there, collect his first blood bounty. Ring
toss.
bounce is good, and there's just no buttons for Joe to press.
I'm really surprised that we saw Jumpah go for the Naja as well. I thought they were going to give that back to mattkoiz this time. But instead, he's gone with the other option. Jumpah's still taking that trade. That's Jormungandr dead.
Yeah, that's... I'm just going to call a spade a spade. That was wrong. That was bad. That was poor.
Very weird situation.
Not the fight to take.
Just watching it get played out was awkward. I mean, the ring tosses bouncing between them. At that point, you're like, okay, one of us should back away. The other one's going to die.
Get first blood and leave.
Yep.
Just get first blood and leave.
But the Nike going back to it, I really do like the passive. I really do think she helps a lot in the support role.
Because that's my thing, is that I agree with everything that you said. She becomes an impossible to kill character as long as she builds correctly, which largely comes from her fact not having to build some of the other support options. Her passive is global.
Yep.
You can put her in the solo lane. She doesn't have any peel. The jump is the only sort of peel that Nike has access to outside of the slow, and the jump knockup is more used for initiation. If SpeedBufff gets in trouble, luckily, he's got some of his own self-peel by way of the song and the dash, and he's going to look for a kill off of the song. Nike turns around because SpeedBufff needs help, but she can't peel.
And still, Zaxy looking for the kill, threading the needle with those basics. He'll always have to wait for Beaudilla to step out of the way before finding the shot. And sometimes that can happen, Tom, where you're trying to body block for someone, but they're also trying to juke themselves, and they can juke the body blocker at the same time.
That kill doesn't happen if Jabami and Beaudilla hit trade on the pick selection screen. That straight up, Terra and Nike, I like both these picks. Like I said, I personally want to see more Nike, but she just doesn't bring enough. She doesn't have enough buttons to press in that support role. SpeedBufff gets in trouble, Jabami can ult. SpeedBufff gets in trouble, Jabami can dash. SpeedBufff gets in trouble, Jabami can stun. There are so many options for Terra. Beaudilla, well, he already burned the jump. The 2 button doesn't do anything. The 1 button is damage. Maybe a disarm if you have activated plan of action beforehand and hit all 3.
You were saying this earlier on about like she doesn't bring a much control or defensive peel for it to an extent on a Nike. It's about the same as a Naja does.
No way.
It is?
Naja, no way.
It is.
There's a stun, there's an ult, there's a slow, there's
so she's got a disarm, a knock up, and a slow. So where's the difference?
The disarm is incredibly difficult to pull off.
Naja Sash isn't the easiest thing in the world in disposition, Jay.
By difficult, I mean time-wise. Sash is Sash. It hits there. 1, 2, 3. if you are uninterrupted and that third hit hits.
I'm just doing what you normally do to me every single time, and I'm like, yeah, Nike can be played here and do similar things, but it's not going to help out against CC from Zaxy like that. mattkoiz and Zaxy are just on another level on this team in terms of how they control their duo lane together.
YarBadKid's here, and you're going to force out the ultimate out of the Chronos.
Joe
misses the knockup, now looking for more damage. Fears off Zaxy, half HP for the carry. Here comes help from XCovi, and big boy damage out of the Stinger. Where'd you go, YarBadKid? Back to base.
Nothing YarBadKid could do there, though, because what happened was he got hit by the Stinger straight away, and he's on Suku, and can't jump off Suku, can you? You can't leap afterwards. You're crippled. No escape from that, and the burst is too much. That's where the strength of an Muzen carb can really lie, is the burst from the Swarm Stinger combo that most people just never expect the damage from Stinger.
It's absurd. Stinger is definitely a large amount of damage coming out of a Hunter, so got to be aware. Starts at about 275 plus over 100%.
Not many abilities have over 100% scaling.
Stinger, Herc Boulder.
I think there's one or two, but generally some characters that don't build damage that much if they do have that crazy scaling. But with the fact of being Stinger, one of the reasons you see that on AMC, though, is the fact that, well, he doesn't really have an escape. He's just going to walk away, very similar to like an Alpwash to an extent. All he's going to have rely on is that slow from his honey.
Turn and burn.
And the mobility the hives do give you. So, you know, having extra damage on the Stinger makes a bit of sense.
All he really can do there. 1 kill a minute for Nemesis so far. That's pretty much it. I want to see them continue their pressure here. Mid lane could be an option as the Naja is local, has the ultimate available as well. Well, he can ult Jormungandr.
Yeah, the one thing...
That is a piece of information.
They caught on Jorm, and I was going to bring up the Jormungandr mid here. I actually think the reason we've got Niquid playing Osiris this game is that Nemesis believed Cyclone were going to run this Jorm in the solo lane, and Osiris into that makes a lot of sense.
Knock up into the pull. mattkoiz in trouble, drops the box, and dashes away, gets stuck by Beaudilla, but it's actually just a surprise setup. Apollo comes down from the sky, SpeedBufff all the way from left to right, Jumpah off the mark with the ultimate, and now could be punished. Knocked up, Feather Step as well, walks towards the team. XCovi takes care of the jungler, Sash to avoid the Jormungandr, but a little bit too early. But just on time is XCovi. Taking down one, and taking down two. Zaxy gets the last hit. The support for the mid lane Hunter, and what a play, what a player.
Hey, I'm just happy for SpeedBufff, okay? That poor guy got farmed last game, didn't get a choice in it, but makes a good rotation overall where I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if it's worth going for the kill on Koiz, but he develops and he gets an additional one, which definitely does help him out quite a bit in terms of getting a bit of gold into his further rotation more than anything else and doesn't get too punished. Unfortunately, he kept fighting too long. Zaxy makes the rotation manually over there, and then it turns out a little bit worse for wear when Jormungandr falls in mid.
I like the Apollo. It is a non-meta, unconventional pick. It's really just what SpeedBufff plays well.
I think the only time we've really seen Apollo in pro play so far has been Ataraxia, which was like one or so games that we've seen him really pick it up. But I don't think Apollo's terrible in this meta because, you know, global mobility is always going to be impactful. We just don't see so much split pushing these days, Tom.
Hunters, I think, are the most similar of classes, right? When you compare Arachne to Thor, they're drastically different. When you compare Apollo to Medusa, I mean, they shoot basics. They've got a line attack to clear the wave, right? Now, one's a team fight. There's obviously differences there, but Hunters kind of travel the least bit in between patches. And so Apollo might be a little bit less strong, but still can do the damn thing. SpeedBufff has been working.
Not sure Jumpah's decision making there. He was looking for a play, sashes onto Joe, and then uses his ultimate to jump onto the Awilix.
Love it.
But he didn't have any follow-up was the problem. He was there on his own. As soon as he lands again, he gets blown up.
I love the decision. I love the sash to the ult behind the player behind you. That's always a great look. It's something I'm a big fan of. But like you said, the biggest thing for Jumpah was that he just didn't have the support of XCovi that we saw last time around. mattkoiz was on the Naja with ult players, and XCovi would line up with the big mage ult. This time around, Jumpah's expected to do a little bit more damage, and then XCovi might finish it off when he comes down. But it's largely Naja's job to provide the DPS.
Going back to the Apollo, though, like I don't mind the pick overall But if you're going to be against someone like a Chronos in this lane, who you know is probably going to go for some sort of sustain in terms of the Bancroft's talent here, the lifesteal, you should probably be looking for the lifesteal yourself to be able to match the pace a little bit, not going for the Transcendence.
Whoa.
It means that if you take susceptible poke in this laning phase from the Chronos, you can't resustain it back up anymore.
It's actually very interesting to see the Transcendence. Apollo, one of the more pure hunters in the game.
Not just that, there was a rush of the Transcendence.
Right.
There's no Hunter's Bless in there either.
Which is, I struggle to say the word standard. But,
well, if you go Transcendence, sure, but it's nowadays
exactly.
you don't see the rush of a Transcendence too much either. And knowing you're going to be in a mage matchup, you're really relying on your ability to avoid damage then against Zaxy and then heal it back and use the extra damage you're going to get from a Transcendence with the power spike you get from that to your advantage.
Yeah, I think the only reason that we see the Transcendence is because Aussie might come up a little bit later. The recent buff has made that item very strong.
And it only really does work with Transcendence in my eyes. I just don't think there's a window in the Devourer's Gauntlet's build to fit it into the right window, because the time that you're looking for an Assy or thinking about it, you're still going to get an Executioner, man, and you can never ignore an Executioner.
Jumpah's been here for way too long, kind of wasting some time. Purple buff invade is good, and Nemesis will not be able to secure it. So Cyclone play defense, good enough to keep their buffs.
Oh, not the jungle, though. It's the left-hand back half he's going to get stripped away as well. This is just Nemesis running around with Koiz and Jumpah together now, trying to cause issues wherever they go.
Jabami on the Terra. He gets jumped on. This is an all-in from Nikwid. I don't know about all that, champ.
I think he was just trying to burn the ultimate more than anything else out of Jabami. It wouldn't have helped him too much overall because, you know, you don't get the sustain from it. But he does put a bit of damage on and help you get a bit more help there on that right-hand side. But this matchup really is, I don't think we would have seen Osiris picked into a Terra. You don't see it too often.
Yeah.
Just because it's magical versus physical, and Osiris is so good against physical guns.
There's the jump out from Beaudilla. Big boy Jorm mid trying to make it happen.
And that's it.
Keyword trying. mattkoiz does get knocked up, and that's going to set up an Awilix pull, but it's all XCovi, baby. The double buzz out of XCovi. The mid lane monster making it happen.
Doug, can we check out the player damage as we watch this sash miss from Jumpah there? Beaudilla did leap away. I just want to see the player damage to see how this Yorm's doing in the mid lane. And he's actually top of the charts right now at 4.5k. He's used his ultimate pretty effectively, aggressively, which is one thing we didn't see out of Zero so much. It was more of the defensive end, and towards the end he used it for the damage.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, exactly. We did see a couple of sort of marks of brilliance, and I think that was the reason we see it played a second time. Is we did see a little bit here and there.
And this is because of the Awilix that you see the Jormungandr too. It's got a good knock up to cause some problems. So add the fact that Beaudilla can also technically knock people up. So can Apollo.
Yep.
In two ways again now, right?
Yeah.
Because he got it back on the across the sky. Did he not?
No, he did not.
Didn't.
Get it
Okay.
back.
Glad I checked.
Yeah. It's been a little bit rough. SpeedBufff trying to deal. Can't figure it out. And the last hit by Zaxy. That was a little bit sleepy. This might not be. Knock-up after knock-up. Zaxy forced into the ultimate, and Joe will slowly walk away.
SpeedBufff did just across the skies into a Chronos, didn't get any follow-up damage, and then died because he had no sustain to box, so had to run away, right?
Yes.
Okay, seems that way. Surprised that he's going that aggressive against the Chronos. Guess he's trying to force the rewind, but there was no panic out of Zaxy more than anything else.
There hasn't been panic in Zaxy since this young man was born. One of the most confident players on the planet, to be honest with you. And Zaxy on his Chronos certainly can do it. He's the dude, okay?
So you all know there, you saw Beaudilla leap and land straight away. Something that happens with a very few gods, for example, and here's another one this can happen with. If you get a delayed stun on you and you're already in your jump animation, they'll get you to your destination a lot quicker. So you can actually use that to your advantage sometimes too.
There's no way you can use that to your advantage.
A faster up down.
Right. But like you can't. All right, slow me after I jump, please.
No,
that's collusion.
But I mean, sure, if you're going to go with that, hey, can you do me a favor and hit me Chronos 3, so as soon as I use my leap here, I'll get to destination quicker?
Exactly.
You know what I mean, though? It allows you to get back down to the ground quick, which means you're not in the air as long for an Awilix ult.
You absolutely can take advantage of it, but whether or not you can plan it is a different story.
Nikwid needs some help here. He's diving past the tier 1
still
tower.
good.
3 targets.
He's still good.
XCovi's just chilling watching. I mean, he's a tanky target, but not if he gets in tower range. Look at him, he had minions for a second. Won't be enough to save his life, however. Meanwhile,
knock up. The pull is really what did it, and I won't say the pull. I'll say the damage that YarBadKid does after the fact. You get a ton of power. That's really what you're looking for. Not gonna miss. Somebody's taking the tower. Matter of time. XCovi gets shut down by the jungler, but guess who's talking now? Nemesis pick up the Gold Fury, and Cyclone are cold furious as they're looking up at the 6,000 gold deficit they've amassed.
The main thing I'm looking at time and time again, though, is SpeedBuff's overextension in lane. If you're down in lane and you're losing, you've got to play a little bit safer overall. Really surprised by the Jotun's pickup as well. This is 30% cooldown reduction Apollo I'm looking at right now. It's not something I've seen too often. Cooldown is great on Hunters if you can get hold of it, sure. And yeah, okay, he's Apollo, so he's got a passive.
No.
You're not feeling it?
No, this is bad.
You don't like it?
No, this is bad. There's no.
I don't like the build.
There's no world where the Jones is correct. I think
he's got pen.
So I saw him building Mace, and I said maybe it's a Brawler's Beat Stick, and then went, well, really not going to be the case. Not enough healing. I said maybe it's a Crusher, which would be the wrong choice, but we can talk about it. Jones, I think, is the objective wrong choice, and we can't talk about it. Jones is 40 power, 10 penetration, and a whole bunch of cooldown.
I heard that 11. Why did it always have that one extra pen randomly?
No idea.
We should have just left it that way.
But the point is, he's not ability-oriented. He's pure hunter.
YarBad would have liked to use an ability there, but got no choice in the matter. Koiz silences him into a sash, into a stinger. Even if the silencer was away there, I don't even think it would have helped him out.
Ultimate from Beaudilla, offensively, which is an interesting choice. XCovi getting jumped on, knocked up. Here's damage is down to 30%. A little bit of help from support, and the ultimate from Joe comes out while he's on the tripwire. He'll go down to the side, and SpeedBufff will get farmed up. Beaudilla takes care of XCovi before he falls down. Jump is here, and we'll confirm it.
That was really Beaudilla and Joe going, hey, we can kill this AMC, can't we? And like, yeah, sure, we'll invest everything and pick up the kill. But in doing so, they don't recognize that Nemesis are all on the right-hand side. They just come to mid lane, and then SpeedBufff turns up at the worst possible moment, also dies. Nemesis, yet again, now running away with this game. It's almost 10,000 gold again.
Jabami gets jumped on. Rom. Apollo.
Your impressions have gotten better so far this cast.
That was a quality joke. I like that.
Yeah.
That was really good, Hindu. I'm not going to lie.
I wasn't joking.
That was really good.
It was better.
YBK going to be why you there. But, so, what I'm talking about, hunters can be split into two separate categories.
3.
Okay.
There's
ability?
Auto attack focus,
right.
Basic attack focus, then there's ability focus, and then there's the hybrid.
The hybrid, right. Okay, sure. I'll give you that, because AMC particularly.
Medusa's a hybrid.
Medusa
leads more ability focus, but definitely more hybrid because of the steroid on the one.
It's interesting. I think of her as pure ability, and the steroid on the one is what kind of covers up the...
Yeah, it's fair. Chiron is a good example of an ability-based.
Yes, Chiron, Ool, right? I always say Medusa...
Medusa definitely leads abilities, though. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, she has
AMC
a little bit
is
of
a nice
that.
hybrid, because you have pure basic attack with the hives, your bazooka, or excuse me, you're like Uziing, but you also like burst damage from your 2/4.
It's kind of think about what would you do in a team fight as this hunter, right? So, what is my first initial reaction? Am I using an ability to deal my damage, or am I using my basic attacks to deal the damage at the start?
And so Medusa is going to acid spray, build Transcendence, go for it, right? You're gonna Chiron training exercise, right? Build Transcendence, go for it. You're playing Rom. You are basic attacking all the time. You're not really.
Sure, but your basics do damage.
Right.
I was going to say, because we have seen a little bit of Transcendence Ramen before.
And Trans is not the item that I'm going to take issue with here. Right. It's the Jotuns. Because the Transcendence does lend itself to hitting heavier basics, sure, but 20% CDR is wasted on Rom. You are better off with a different item. Apollo, slight, and I see this team fight going on, but I need to talk about this Apollo build.
Wait a second, Koiz is still alive, but Jormungandr is now down. Knockups onto Koiz again. Still the elephant is in the room for a moment or two as he'll walk away now. YarBadKid's still alive, but Nemesis still getting aggressive.
And meanwhile, Apollo is sitting in the mid lane doing absolutely nothing because he can't with his build.
Don't worry, his ult's up soon though.
Oh, well, maybe he'll get more damage than both supports, including the Ganesha.
he had a rough game. Leave the guy alone, man. He had a rough game 1. He gets focused again in game 2. But some of it is definitely his own fault. Zaxy takes down Beaudilla.
They still have Girdle. Oh, my
Girdle
goodness.
means...
Go! Double kill for Zaxy. 20% CDR on an ability-based character is worth more than 20%, than the same amount of stats on a character that is going to use it less. 20% CDR on a character like Chiron, we can actually find a number for how much that's worth. Because you're talking about getting training exercise, masterful shot up more often, including the ultimate. We can actually find a number of damage that the 20% CDR is worth. SpeedBufff, on the other hand, the majority of his damage comes from basic attacks. Here, he's just being an idiot. I don't know what to say.
Having the opportunity to have your cooldown.
And by that I mean not about the build. I mean by what he's doing there.
I get that. But he got a tier 2 tower. More importantly, that was on that right-hand side.
Which is the win,
Split
and something
Apollo, right?
that the just doesn't help him too.
No, but it gives him the cooldown to have his Across the Skies up again, to get his Mez up again. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because all Hunters would love cooldown reduction if they could get it. The one thing is that cooldown's the last thing on the list of a Hunter, unfortunately. Yeah. Because they have to go for so many other things, like pen, attack speed,
This
power.
is why he built Trans and Jotuns, because it gives him mana.
And he's relying on his passive to give him the attack speed that he's after.
Real talk, if he went attack speed boots, I would say he went cruise build to just cruise around the sky.
Yeah. But the attack speed would have probably helped him out a little bit more. Hang on,
it probably would have.
JabamiChip going to go down the right-hand side, and this is without a fire giant this time. Nemesis looking to push down for the last 2 towers remaining on the map. Make that 1.
Knock up, pull. Zaxy's in trouble. Nice feather step, but it's protected by the Aegis. The ring bounce gets SpeedBufff. Ball don't lie. 24 like Kobe. Nemesis pushing down the tier 2 tower and making it happen, baby.
Joe gonna go in though. He's from the gym with his second shot, but will the third one connect? No! Now he's surrounded and dead on the back of the fight though. YarBadKid buys himself a minute with that feather step, but it's only a minute.
Jumpah's still alive. 27-7. 21 minutes on the clock. Wait a second. SpeedBufff is up in 13, but he's irrelevant. The other 2 players are up in 20 seconds. Jabami's still alive. Now, if we get a good kill onto Jabami, he's dead. This is game. Yo, Nemesis are going to walk in.
SpeedBuff's here. He's got cooldown. He can mez twice, maybe. No, he's silenced. Can't use the abilities. mattkoiz just goes, nope, no abilities for you. Nemesis take this in 2 in, what, less than 22 minutes in both games?
Yeah, 21 on each map.
Disappointing overall.
I'm tilted. That is because there are so few things in SMITE building that are black and white. And even this conversation is perhaps not as black and white as I'm laying it out. But at the end of the day, you can't build that way on Apollo. It is just you are trying to apply. I don't know the analogy. It's just wrong.
I'm a big fan of creativity and I'm a big fan of giving players the benefit of the doubt. But a lot of times it takes a lot to try and like draw what the idea was behind that of like what you're trying to do to make it worthwhile over going more of a standard build. I don't think that was a be-all and end-all of that game. I think SpeedBufff needed a lot of help overall in that lane. He didn't get much support.
I think it was 4v5, and SpeedBufff continued to make it 4v5. Nemesis win the match. Let's look closer.
And he meant come to, yeah, there we go. Let's do the desk here. It's Finch and Anatoly. I mean, he was just throwing us to take a closer look. And so now we will take a closer look into how that game went awry. And I think they were right to sort of highlight that SpeedBufff was an obvious weakness here.
Sure.
And that Nemesis were able to exploit it, right? At that point, he was likely so far behind that I don't know if it mattered a ton what he built, but they purposefully put him there with a concerted effort.
As much as we can just highlight, some of the incorrect things that Cyclone were doing, we can just highlight the good things that Nemesis were doing, continuing their winning streak. Yeah. The Ganesha for mattkoiz, switching it up from the Naja, flexing the Naja pick to Jumpah this time around, really worked well in the early game. XCovi had so much freedom on the Muzen cob as opposed to the Cuckoo Clan that he had in Game 1, ending the game at 11-3-7.
And Zaxy showed us that even when they put a little bit extra focus on him, banning his Jingwei in that first ban phase with their second ban, he can still get it done on this Chronos with absolutely no trouble. He had an excellent game as well. And I remember how I set going up into this set, how I set it up. I said that Nemesis are a team whose aspirations are beyond this phase. They're looking to mid-season invitational, beating other SCL teams, really even trying to be competitive with SML teams too. So they need to be able to win sets like this cleanly. And that's exactly what they showed us today, Totally. They came in and they were just clean.
They were very clean, and they were a little innovative in their start. mattkoiz going for the frenzy, trying to just straight up clear the wave as quickly as possible. Going for a little bit of mobility with the winged blade and the gem of isolation, realizing that they were so far ahead, it didn't really matter what they built at that point. Nickwood going for a Frostbound Hammer. It was about trying to slow people down continuously.
I think you're right to point out that they were willing to try some other stuff out, and when it worked out well for them, I think they used the frenzy to proxy as well at one point. In game one, yeah. So they're certainly trying to see where they can find some weaknesses and where they can exploit them. And I think, unfortunately for Cyclone, they were just the ones that got the short end of the stick this time. They weren't with their full roster. I think that they normally wouldn't have SpeedBufff in there. I think that they had Overgrown listed on there, and SpeedBufff was one of their subs, and they didn't have him for this game. So certainly you can understand why they weren't quite able to perform up to what we know they can do at that 4-4 level. But they've been struggling, to earn that record lately. They earned that before with a different unit. They've had some turnover. This isn't quite the same team we saw get to that level before.
That's right. Cyclone not going to win games like that with builds like that. They're going to need to adapt some of these changes if they want to actually find victories against teams such as Nemesis that looked so strong, undefeated still at this point.
They absolutely are. Let's take a look at those standings, and you'll see Nemesis way up at the tip top, 9-0, plus 15, since they did not lose a game here in this set either. Cyclone took a spill and dropped down. Big Money and Benedict's Cavalry can at least still catch up to Cyclone, but again, we're only taking one team from each region, so the first team from console from PS4 NA or PS4 U, or wherever we happen to be, they'll be the ones going out to
per region, and that's PS4 North America side of things. A lot of still action in the Xbox world.
Yes, there's still plenty more coming from Xbox as well. So really, console is still a bit open in some of the regions, and other ones it's kind of been locked up, out cold. Yeah. Over there in PS4 EU, look to be very far out in front, but in Xbox NA, Xbox EU, those regions are still very, very close. So yes, I agree. I think there's still a lot to know about who it is exactly that's making it to the MSI. In fact, speaking of Xbox NA, we still have that to come for you all. So get ready for that one. Take a break, use the restroom, whatever you got to do, then get right back here for some more console.